Okay, I'm gonna shut this door a little bit so that we don't have too much noise.
Okay, I'm just starting the recording.
Hi, just in time.
Perfect time.
Yeah, be careful of that cord.
Man, it's here.
Can't move the chairs.
Hi, Dave. I'll sit here.
Okay, just to let you guys know, I just started recording.
Oh, yeah.
Hi, Dave.
Are you trying to look? I was trying.
No, I sent several emails on Monday. Okay, let's go ahead and call the meeting to order. Madam Secretary, would you like to call roll?
Sure. Armand Garbani. Danilo Toro.
Here.
Dessa Philadelphia. Eric Nakamura.
Here.
Jamie Keaton.
Here.
Jay Handel.
Here.
Jay Ross.
Yes.
Jean Shigematsu. Here. John Krendian. Naomi Kageyama. Here. Partho Kalyani. Ron Migdal.
Yes.
Rosie Cotto.
Yes.
Jana. I always mess up your last name, so Elizabeth. Okay. Quorum,
Okay.
we have quorum.
Okay. So item, is there any general public comment? I haven't received any cards, so I assume that there's not, but, all right. Moving on to item number 3. Item number 3 is actually going to be subsumed by item number 4. So we'll just move on to item number 4, which is the plum presentation and possible motions by Mr. J. Ross.
Okay, number A, approval of officers. Plum as a resolution for your consideration. Plum voted to nominate the following members to serve as officers. Chair, Jay Ross. Vice Chair, Max Sherman. Secretary, Rosie Cotto.
I move it. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? All those in favor? All those opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, passes. We are going to move item number 6 before item number 5, which is consideration of open organizational board seat application, which I think has been handed out to us.
It's in the packet, last.
It was in the last packet.
Yeah,
Okay.
but it's in this one too, I threw it in there.
Okay, and this is for Jennifer Gabina. Jennifer, are you here?
Yes.
Great. Would you like to come and give us a few words about yourself?
Sure. So I've been working at St. Sebastian School, which is on Federal and Wyoming, for the past 3 years. I'm a dual immersion teacher there, so I teach in Spanish and English throughout the day to kindergarten. So 5th year teaching overall. The school's been there for about 50 years, I think 50 plus years in the neighborhood. So we're really excited. We're really open to helping out you guys and really, really open to seeing what you guys can help us with too, because we want to get more involved in the community. So when we heard this opportunity, we just jumped at it.
Do we have any questions for Jennifer? Yes.
Given our outreach is not always the greatest, how did you find out about us and why did you decide to become interested in participating?
So the way I found out about it was that my principal actually told me about it. My principal's new this year, or this past 2 years. So she started a leadership group, and she knows that I'm interested in policy and education. That's what I studied in my grad school. And so we got an email from you guys, and she noted that it said organizational chair was available, and she put it out to me, and I said, for sure, yes.
Yes.
Not a question, just a statement. I want to say I think it's great that they're getting involved. This is a church and school that this neighborhood council and I personally have helped over the last 3.5 years when their trees were overblown, and the principal contacted me and we recognized the danger of the wires going through all these trees, and we had DWP come out, and the city still didn't actually trim the trees, and ultimately in the great tree trimming windstorm we had a year ago, all the trees came down, crushed their fence, and crushed some stakeholder's car. And it was because of all the work back and forth with the then principal and the new principal. We started to build that relationship also with the pastor across the street. And as the other organizational rep, I felt it was really important to get them involved. And I think it's really great to have someone from the school on our board. It'll help with outreach, it'll help with a number of things, I believe. So I would like to move acceptance of the application.
Ryan, questions?
Yeah, just a comment, actually. I was also there, I went and spoke with Jimmy at an event at the San Sebastian Church across the street. And it's a largely Oaxacan community, which I think is seriously underrepresented on our board. So I would vote in favor.
Okay, so I'm going to consider that as a second, so we have a motion and a second. All those in favor of acceptance of this application, please raise your hands. All those opposed? Any abstentions? Well, welcome to the board. Thank you. So you can pull up a chair here now if you want. There are some trainings that you have to do through the Department of Neighborhood Empowerment. That's fine. I'll just get close to you guys. So if you have not done the trainings with the Department of Neighborhood Empowerment, you can't vote on anything yet. Have you done? You haven't done?
No, I haven't.
Right. Okay, great. Okay, since we think Armand might be here, I'm going to move on to the new logo, and we'll get to officer elections still. So we're on to item number 7. Everybody should have a pass out of the newly designed logo for consideration. Yeah, so this was actually done, I will speak about it. This was done at my request. Eric put it together. I like it. I think it's pretty hip. I think that if we're going to have stuff labeled with our stickers all over the place, we should have a hip logo. So I'm not going to move it, but it's there for you. It's moved. Is there a second?
I'll second. And I also want to say, I think Eric did a great job. I think it has a contemporary but a very sort of 50s timeless feel to it.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please raise your hand. All those opposed? Any abstentions? Moving right along. Okay. All right, well, now
I'm okay with,
You voted yes.
I forgot, but yeah, okay, yes.
we just skipped over the rest of your plum stuff. So let's move on to the rest of the plum stuff. You should have reminded me.
I noticed,
Okay.
I thought we were coming back to it.
No.
Okay.
B, the
Sorry.
Playa del Rey gas storage facility.
All right, so shall I read the motion first?
Yeah, go for it.
Do you want to read the motion? You want to?
Yeah, that's the process.
Okay.
Plum voted to recommend that per motion by Council District 11, the city shall investigate possible violations and public endangerment from the Playa del Rey gas storage field at 8141 Gulan Avenue in Playa del Rey and report back in the 90-day proposed deadline. So simply, Bonin was a sponsor of this resolution, has concerns about it. It doesn't necessarily take any action. It asks for an investigation to begin based on concerns with other gas fields in Los Angeles that created much harm. So
I move it.
It's been moved. Is there a second? There's a second. Is there anything you want to say about this?
Not unless you have any questions.
All right, is there any discussion on this? All right, all those in favor, please raise your hand. All those opposed? Any abstentions? All right. Item C on the plum agenda.
all right, yes, the buffer zones. At our last plum meeting, we voted to recommend that no new gas or oil wells, which includes new drilling or expansion of existing drilling, shall be located within a 2,500-foot setback or buffer of sensitive uses, which includes residential, childcare, schools, and medical facilities, hospitals. In addition, non-conforming uses, which is current wells within that buffer zone, shall be discontinued within 5 years. This 25-foot radius came about by various public health studies in the packets that were emailed to you. Now some printed ones too. Public health experts came up with that distance as a reasonable one to protect public health. There are, different municipalities have them 1,000 feet to 8,000 feet. But we on Plum concurred that that would be a good distance considering all the harmful impacts that come from oil well drilling. There were a few reasons Plum voted for it. One is filters cannot take fumes out of the air. They can take out particulate solid matter, but fumes from gasoline and benzene cannot be filtered in any ways unless you have a perfectly non-permeable wall. Also, in these operations, oil companies inject all kinds of chemicals, and they refuse to tell the public which ones they are. They give the basic, oh, it's a trade secret, it'll harm our business. So Plum said, well, our public health is more important than our trade secrets. So that was a reason for approval. And then we also said fossil fuels, they're one source of fuel, but there are many, many other ones. And as you all know, the state and the city have increased renewable requirements for the upcoming decades. So coupled with that, incentivizing that and disincentivizing fossil fuels was another reason that the Plum, along with public health, thought it was a worthy resolution. So now it's up for board consideration.
Is there a motion, somebody who
Move to approve.
Is there a second?
Oh yeah, I'll second it.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion?
Are there any wells in our council district?
There may not be. There's one in Rancho Park Golf Course, maybe the closest.
There are actually, there
There
are
are.
18 active oil wells in the VA property right next to the hospital. I talked to them just this week and asked them, do you have any plans to shut down or mitigate some of the oil and gas drilling that you're doing? And they said, no, they need the VA representative for Brightburn, who owns the Energy Partnership.
Wait, where is that?
It's just off the 405, the VA property. If you know where the UCLA plays baseball,
Yeah, no, I just didn't quite hear you. Okay.
yeah, it's 18 active oil wells right there, and that's within the half mile.
That's probably federal land, so they won't abide by any city ordinance, right? Because that's not in our district.
No, it's federal land, it's outside of our jurisdiction. And these Brightburn has had those wells there for decades, and VA's making nothing but money off of it.
But it is within a half mile, so you are impacted whether or not, you live that property. I'll tell you, I wanted to pass out.
Yes.
Okay. You may want to know who STAND is, Standing Together Against Neighborhood Drilling. This sheet should just give you a sense of who are the people that are bringing forth this motion. They're a coalition of people who organize together, communities, religious groups, organized together because they were tired of seeing their neighbors and themselves sick over decades. And obviously with unconventional drilling methods, the problem has become worse and worse. You can see just from a quick chart here, we call this the dirty dozen. There are 44 toxins that we know what toxins mean. They are toxic to the human body.
Sorry. Thank you.
We only know 44 because, as Jay said, they kept it a trade secret. But out of these 12, out of these 12, you can see that from the first two, all of them cause irritation to the eyes, nose, skin. And by irritation, I mean you can lose your sense of smell very easily if you live long enough next to one. Respiratory illnesses. We have, and you can see from bottom, we have lots of episodes of long-term asthma. You can see that there are benzene, toluene, xylene, and are known carcinogens. So you're living next to a place where 8 out of these 12 give damage to the nervous system, cardiovascular disease, endocrine, and reproductive problems that affect both men and women. So the problems are not minor, they're very large, and they just get worse with unconventional drilling.
I move it.
So, to be very brief, my name is Leah Garland. I used to be a college professor, I have a PhD. When I found out about what was happening in LA in terms of environmental health, I decided I needed to volunteer, do as much as I can. So I was volunteering for 3 years with Food and Water Watch, and they said, hey, can you please come on here and help us with this one project in CNLA. So Food and Water Watch, who I'm volunteering with and intern with for this program, are helping out our allies at CNLA. So that's why that's what CNLA is. And we're bringing this motion forward because, one, there are no zoning laws regarding active oil well drilling in Los Angeles. This is surprising because LA is the largest urban oil field in the country. And
It is the most highly populated. So you have more oil here than in other cities and towns in the US. And you have a higher density of people than other towns and cities in the US. And they have setbacks in other cities and towns in the US, including Dallas. But LA, no.
Question.
That's a long-term mistake. Yeah.
This probably isn't relevant for a vote, but are there wells near Santa Monica Airport?
Well, there are at the Playa del Rey gas storage facility. There are some there.
Well, I think it's been moved and seconded. Are there questions for her? Okay, all those in favor, please raise your hand. All those opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, now we have waited long enough for Armand, he is not here. So we will move on to item number 5, which is officer elections. So I am going to go down in order for chair, vice chair, treasurer, secretary, and outreach chair. Okay, so open it up.
Nominate Jamie for chair.
Second.
All right, I'll accept. Any other nominations? All those in favor?
We have discussion first.
Yeah, sure.
I'd just like to say I would love for all 4 of the current officers to continue. I think this is one of the best neighborhood councils we've had. I know some of them may not be interested in being renominated, but I hope all of them, consider another term, so.
Thank you. Anybody else? All right, all those in favor? All those opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, moving on to vice chair.
Nominate Eric. Come on, Eric.
I'll second.
Third, fourth, fifth, sixth.
I didn't want to, I thought I ran the meetings poorly. I have a hard time memorizing all of the motions that come from Plum especially, all the jargon, which I've been said was out of order or incorrect because I wasn't able to recite them and I made Sochi do it that one time. So those kind of things make me not want to do it, and we have a difficult, we were better, but it was difficult to run those meetings and I didn't really like it. So in that way, I really don't like that duty of it.
But that's just one.
I don't know what it-
One of the many.
I certainly don't know what the other
We
duties
can
are.
help you with that.
Yeah,
As
we
have.
can help with the meetings.
Because I just don't want to, I don't like, I think my bigger problem too is I don't like scolding adults. I can do that to kids, but not adults.
Oh, it's fun, Eric, come on.
Oh, man.
Don't
behind it.
don't always go by chronological when you're dealing with some of it.
Yeah.
We'll get you a pace.
Are you going to consider like outreach chair?
That was my question. I may be more interested in
I'm interested in outreach, the
He's
chair.
already doing both.
Right.
Yeah, he's doing both.
He's doing both
Which
anyway,
is a pretty
so
hefty job.
I guess the question is,
so
would
bad.
he be willing to continue?
No, this
to
part
do
of
it?
outreach is really, the website part, that's easy.
Look,
I'm having fun.
I
It's
think
fun.
that-
But the vice chair part to me was very difficult. So if it's running the meetings if that's the main thing, that's something I really disliked.
I don't think that it
But
has
if it's not that, I'm down to do whatever.
I don't think it's that, so
If it's running the meeting, oh man.
the running the meeting part, we can get around. So,
I got beat up by Ivan, I got beat up by Dunn, and I don't know. But maybe those are the worst of it, but that was just really difficult.
so with the understanding that you don't run any more meetings, do you accept the nomination?
I'll do it.
All right, great.
I just can't do that part.
All those in favor? All those opposed?
My goodness.
Abstentions? All right. All right, so on to treasurer, I'm going to nominate Jay Handel.
Second.
All right, any discussion? All those in favor? All those opposed? Any abstentions?
Jay, do you accept?
Oh, yeah.
If I don't, it'll take you 90 days to get a new credit card.
Exactly.
You didn't ask for a pay raise.
Okay, moving on to secretary. I'm going to nominate Naomi.
And I'll second it.
Are you in?
If no one else wants to do it, I wanted to do it.
She's got it.
Is there anybody else?
No, I'm serious, if anyone wants to.
All
All
right.
right.
So all those in favor? All those opposed? Abstentions? All right. Outreach chair, we got one more, guys.
Eric. I nominate
Okay.
Eric.
Well, does anybody want to do it? I guess is the first question.
Because I don't necessarily have to be a chair. I'd like to be in outreach though, for sure.
Right. I think that we can keep going on as we are, but does anybody want to be the outreach chair?
I think it's necessary to have somebody designated as Chair. I
Oh, yeah,
know.
we do.
Yeah, we are.
Okay, so we're supposed to be reestablishing the committees. The committees themselves are supposed to be selecting their own chair.
Right, but outreach chair is actually on our
In the
executive
bylaws.
committee, it's in the bylaws.
The outreach director, the outreach
The outreach director,
is
yeah.
considered one of the,
So it's one of our executive board positions. But it could remain vacant for right now. We could reestablish the outreach committee and then revisit the issue.
No, our bylaws say that it's a position.
Yes.
And based on our bylaws, we should be appointing somebody tonight.
I nominate Eric.
And I third it.
I accept.
All right.
I still don't know exactly what it all is.
I think you're already doing it.
You're already doing it.
Years from now, you'll have it down pat.
Okay.
All right. Anybody else want to also
If
run?
anybody else, I'm totally open for someone else too. I'm totally down for that. I'm not kidding.
Okay,
I
all
want,
those,
I want a team, not a.
Put a committee together.
well, you'll have a team.
That's
and then you have the
It has to be a
committee.
team, right?
Yeah.
Process. There's no point. Okay.
all those in favor? All those opposed? Abstentions? Okay, that's done. Great, good job, guys. We got through it. Okay, CIS filers is next, item number 8 on the agenda. I think the current CIS filers are Naomi, Jean, Ron,
I think I am.
and Eric. Yeah, that's
Yes,
right,
yes.
those 4. Who wants to be a filer? Jay,
I don't mind.
Rosie, Naomi.
Should it be like the chair and the vice chair? I mean, realistically, since they should speak on behalf of the council.
I think the rules are you can have 5 people who can do it. So I think if you have 5 people, it's really up to the board chair to say, all right, that motion went through,
Right,
you know,
go ahead and file this.
somebody filed,
Yeah.
designated person filed that.
Yeah, so I think it makes sense for Rosie as you're the secretary of Plum, right?
Well, but I think it should be Plum people, I think, board members, I don't know, but because the CIS is coming out of Plum, I think it would be kind of the neighborhood council to have somebody who's on the Plum committee.
Oh, yeah, no, I agree.
That makes more sense.
And so what I'm saying is, as the secretary, Naomi takes all the stuff down. That's why it's made sense for her to also be on there. And for you, since you're the secretary of Plum, it makes sense for you to be on there. Jay, it's fine. Is there anybody else that wants to be designated as filer?
Well, I think it should be the officers, the chair, the vice chair, the secretary, and treasurer. I mean, those are the most authoritative people on the board. And well, I don't necessarily, I mean, something coming from the chair is much more powerful than just a board member.
The only thing you can file a CIS on is a board motion.
Yeah.
So it's not about coming from a committee, it's about coming from the board.
Yeah.
Although, you as chair of Plum know what the motion is. I mean, I was a filer 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And basically, anything I filed as a CIS was the motion and the approval.
Right.
That's the CIS. It doesn't have to get into a whole long, drawn-out debate.
Yeah.
It's just, does the council file? We made a motion about we support it, we don't support it, and a brief why, and there it is. It's a cut and paste right off of our agenda. So, I would
It does have to have
suggest,
the council file number in it. I think the one thing that I would like to say about these CISs, if possible, I'd really like to have them listed publicly on the website.
Yes.
In some way, yeah.
and I just want to say one more thing. One thing we don't typically do, which we should get more involved in, is RAC and Lang send a lot of council file stuff with citywide information that we should be putting on our agenda and weighing in on it, because they do affect us, whether it's a citywide plan issue,
Right.
or a construction issue, an airport issue, or whatever. They do affect us somewhere down the line. And all these items should be on there, and they should also be, after a motion, a CIS file, because they all have council files.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, so to sort of reconcile your view, Jay, Ross,
Yeah.
what if we did all of the officers and you?
I move it.
Second.
Nice try, Jay.
Okay, we moved and
Avoid yourself
seconded.
a job.
All those in favor?
Wait, that's why I'm not doing that.
Well, do you want to do it instead of Jay? I don't care. He said he only thought that the officer should do it. And you thought that there should be a.
I don't want to
board
do
doing
it. No, I think it should be the officers, so if Rosie wants to do it, or if you want to elect me over my dissenting vote, that's fine. I just think 4 officers are more authoritative. But whatever we decide is fine.
Okay, well, are there any other thoughts on
Are
it?
there supposed to be 5 or 4?
So let's
can be up to
let's 5, so, you know, Rosie's on the committee, let's have Rosie
Yeah.
on with the
No, but
4
I think-
officers, and then,
Well, we have a motion.
So is it,
so I withdraw my motion, and I remake the motion as the 4 officers
and Rosie?
and Rosie.
Okay, you want to second it?
Sure.
Okay,
Can we have a discussion?
moved and seconded. Yeah, go ahead.
Discussion, okay, so I still think Jay Ross, because he's plum chair, you know, as secretary also.
Okay, you can add me. Revise the motion, make me the 5th guy.
You want to be the fifth?
I'll be the,
Okay,
I withdraw my motion and give you the first motion
all
back.
right.
all right,
I feel like where's Wallow?
exactly. Okay, so it's been moved and seconded that it's the 4 officers and Jay Ross. Is there any discussion on that?
Is there not an alternate?
No.
No alternates?
No, because they have to be registered with the city. You can't have, that's why there's 5.
You get an access, everyone has an independent access code to be able to get in and do
But I'd
it.
still like to be able to.
So if you screw up, they know who did it.
Huh?
Actually, I actually would like to be a filer, but no, I can't.
You really want to be the
No,
filer?
no, no, but you didn't hear what I said though. Okay, so I think that it should be Jay Ross, it should be, obviously Jamie, Naomi, Eric, and then as a secretary for Plum, I think I should be.
Well, frankly, I don't care if I'm a
Well, I'm
filer
only
or
doing
not,
because
so.
I'm only doing because I'm on Plum, so there's not really a reason to have 2 Plum people because there are other committees out there. So,
No, but you have to have somebody who's got.
So we have a motion and a second, like,
Yeah,
Okay.
we've got a motion and a second, and was the current motion back to Jay Ross?
Jay Ross.
all
I
right.
have it as Jay Ross.
Okay, the motion on the table that's been moved and seconded is a motion to have the 4 officers plus Jay Ross be the CIS filers. And to be clear, it's the 4 current officers, it's not always going to be the 4 officers, right? That's not the motion.
Right.
Right.
Okay. Okay, all those in favor? All those opposed? Any abstentions? All right. Okay, the reestablishment of the outreach, homelessness, and public safety committees. Is there a motion to reestablish these committees?
I move
Has it been seconded? Okay, it's been moved and seconded, it's now up for discussion. Do I need to take a cue on this?
What's the discussion?
Well, that's my question.
Well, no, the motion is to reestablish it, so it's either yes or no.
All right, so if they're reestablished, all those in favor, please raise your hand.
Which are the committees again?
It's on the agenda.
Homeless, public
Is it both to
safety,
establish?
Just
Yeah,
to
just
establish.
outreach,
To establish.
homelessness, and
not the
public
staff yet, just to establish.
Okay. All those in favor? All those opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, those committees are now considered reestablished. Okay, any public comment for items not on the agenda?
Do you have any?
Yeah, I got one.
Yes.
So I just want to update everybody on the drunk tank.
Yes.
So Councilman Bonin's office, I had a conversation with them the other day. There was another secret meeting on October 3rd with what they call the partners. So obviously, as elected officials in this city,
We don't count.
we're not partners anymore, we are the bastard stepchildren.
Right.
I asked the councilman's office to boycott that meeting on the grounds that we were told, no, we couldn't come. I specifically asked Stephanie Cohen if we could come as partners. And I was told, no, you can come to the public meeting when it's held, which it turns out the public meeting is going to be by RSVP, 30 people handpicked only. So that's not a town hall, that is what we call a focus group. And they are just running right through us, guys. So I know we've had discussion by email, a couple of us, about getting a town hall together.
So we were talking about that earlier before you got here. I floated the idea of the 19th with everybody. I really think we should do it on the 12th because I think the sooner the better. It's a hot issue. Bonnet's office isn't going to show up and Sheila Keel's office isn't going to show up anyways.
Right. I don't think it's so, you know, I said the 19th on the email, and the only reason I said wait a week, we don't have enough time, and we haven't even voted any money, okay, and we can't because it's not on the agenda. So how are we going to do outreach in a 500 or 1,000 foot radius to let people know to come to a place where no one's going to show up?
Well, we have a general outreach budget.
But we know, something like this, from a funding point of view, it then has to get specific on an item, especially if you're holding an event. You can't do it out of the general, like an admin budget. So my concern is, A, we don't have the money, okay? B, if we have a room that looks like this, okay, Bonnie, Kuehl, and everyone are gonna laugh at us and just say, you guys mean nothing anyway, because you don't represent anybody. So unless we fill that room with a couple of hundred people, we're gonna look really foolish. So my suggestion is that we do it the 19th, and within the next few days, we're gonna have to hold another special meeting, you know, to allocate money to be able to print and get either flyers or postcards or a mailer or something within a 500 or 1,000-foot radius.
Well, I think that we should do, we can't do it now,
Can't
because
do
it's
it
not on
now.
the agenda.
But suggestion, it doesn't have to be a special meeting, we can do an emergency meeting.
Can't do an emergency meeting on this, it doesn't fit the criteria.
Why not?
Because it doesn't, it's not an emergency. Emergency meeting is only relegated to natural disasters and things like that.
Well,
Is it specified somewhere that
Yeah.
outreach funds can't be used for this?
What
'Cause
is it?
this sure seems like outreach.
The funding rules are really clear, and Jana, you know the rules as well as I do as a past treasurer. You have an overall budget, but then when you want to do things other than recurring things like copiers and, you know, things like that, you have to vote the item. So this is actually considered an event. So we have to do an event form, we have to do a board vote count form, we have to do a funding form. They don't make it easy for us to do anything.
well, but having something on the 12th so that we can at least get the preliminary thoughts of the neighborhood, we could do that and still have a special meeting that night to vote on more funding for like a Saturday town hall that would have several hundred people there.
I'm only concerned about having 20 people show up and have the council
Well, I mean, we had
and
like
everybody
50
look
people.
and go, no.
We
you
can
guys-
push the hell out of it on the website.
Yeah, we had like 50
now.
people show up to the last meeting. I think we can fill this room in a
We
week.
utilize Nextdoor and Facebook.
Yeah.
And everybody, you could get the businesses on Sawtelle to put it up in their windows. Yeah.
Is it possible to get funding from local businesses that would be totally opposed to this, to get a donation from them,
Yeah.
and that way you
Yeah.
guys aren't using your funds?
We could get donations of food.
That-
And at
Well,
the farm-
you
the
can get
farmer's
soft,
market.
you can get soft money.
Right.
In other
Yeah.
words, if you design a flyer, you can have somebody print it and pay for it,
Right.
okay?
Right.
I mean, same thing in elections, it's soft money. So you can have somebody pay for postage. If there's a developer or someone who's really concerned, and go to them and say, hey, I need $5,000. We need to print a postcard and mail it. We're having 2 town halls, you know, and do one postcard for a Saturday and for the 12th. Pick a date now, you know, and get your best bang for your buck, you know, get both dates and times on a postcard and let a developer or a property owner or somebody mail. There's a lawyer, there's a lawsuit being filed.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, I met with the people from Rough Cut, and their property owner owns 5 properties in the area here. And they've already retained an attorney to try and file a lawsuit. Over what, I don't know, but.
I also think we should get TV involved.
Jana?
So we discussed like 2 meetings before the meeting started. So basically I like Jamie's idea to hear what our neighbors have to say, and based on what we hear and suggestions, to invite certain people for the next
come in,
meeting
yeah.
to come in, which would be great if it's like on Saturday. So I wouldn't, me personally, wouldn't spend like a lot of money for this first meeting. I really think that social media and us like promoting that meeting can do great, but for the second one, I would do exactly what you suggested, like, because I don't think that much money, like printing and like mailing expenses should be spent like for this Thursday meeting.
Well,
I
that's-
don't think it's gonna do like much more benefits than Nextdoor and Facebook
Yeah.
and us.
And that's why I suggested, you know, if you're gonna do printing, put them both on one postcard and give people the option of a weekday night and a weekend day, and let them know that there are 2 meetings, put it on your calendar. If you can't make one, make the other, give them enough time. Remember, this is a holiday weekend, you know, this is a holiday weekend this
Yeah.
weekend. So people have 3-day weekends, government is closed, you know, people are not gonna be around. So it's gonna be.
Columbus Day.
indigenous
people.
WLA voted not to.
Indigenous
Bank and
people.
post office is closed.
Yeah, everybody's closed, so I'm just concerned that,
Columbus
It's the
Day is
fact-
still a
yeah.
federal
and
holiday.
the city's closed, City of LA is closed.
No, City of LA voted not to.
Well, they're
No.
closed for
No, they
Indigenous
changed
Peoples'
it.
Day.
They changed
it
the
to
name.
Indigenous Peoples'
Oh
Day,
my
and they're
God.
closed. They don't give up holidays anymore.
Yeah,
They don't give up holidays.
I have a question then. You know the flyer place or wherever that we're supposed to, that we can use or supposed to use, do they, if that's part of the soft budget, let's just say, do they have somebody there that, as part of the printing, that also does canvassing, that puts them out there as part of the soft
No,
budget?
so the people that I used in the elections and we've used for printing in the past, it's phantom printing.
Yeah, that's that.
And what they do is next door, which is the post office. So you could tell them I want a 500-foot radius from the building or a 1,000-foot radius, and they go on
They can do that?
the post office site,
Fair enough.
and they pick out the carrier routes for that 500 or 1,000 feet. They tell you how many they have to mail, that's how many you print. They stack them, they bundle them, they rubber band them, and they take them to the post office for you.
That's part of this, that's a soft budget, soft expense?
Someone else has to pay for it.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah, I mean, somebody has to pay for that, and we can't right now because we have no money allocated and we don't have a budget item.
So the council member and Chief of Kill's officer are not going to do any kind of public meeting then?
They're gonna do one public meeting a month for the next 3 or 4 months, but they're only inviting 30 people to a meeting. It's RSVP only. You can't just show up to their meeting. So it's a targeted focus group so they can get enough people.
That's
in.
what they told you, or you found
Yeah,
that out?
no, that's what we found out. Yeah, I found that out through LAPD and through CD11's deputy.
Probably you're only going to get the most amount of people in one meeting. Like, we saw that even with the affordable housing project, there's a lot of people at the one meeting, and then after that, just kind of,
How many people were at that Plum meeting, Jay?
the last one.
The Saffron, when the Saffron people came to Plum, how many people showed up to the Plum meeting?
Most recent one or the original?
No, what you,
We've done two.
what you
Oh,
approved,
either one for those.
Well, it's like you said, this last meeting.
Oh, you're on Plum too. I
Yeah.
forgot about that, sorry. I
Yeah,
thought you
the
were
one
talking
in-
about our Saffron meeting.
Yeah, the one in,
Yeah, that's right.
yeah, the one in September, there's probably, it was less, it was probably about 25 people, and there were no opponents to the Saffron project there. The previous one, at the end of August, there were probably like 70 people overall, and there were, maybe an even distribution, but he's right, it drops off.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder, I think that we need to do something before
Can we find
a
out
Saturday
whether
meeting.
their selective meeting is going to be and show up anyway?
Well, I think we should do that, but that's a whole nother issue.
Yeah.
I mean, that's more of a civil, disobedience, You're holding secret meetings, you're lying and deceiving the public.
But I mean, it's still progressing even though they're holding this meeting, right? They're not going to hold up their construction, right? I mean,
So they've stopped construction right now. For how long is, in my opinion, knowing how these things work, that construction is going to be held up only as long as we have the real outcry and complaints. If this whole thing just kind of mutes down, they're going to figure that there's no support, that we're just a bunch of crybabies, and they're going to go ahead and they're going to start jackhammering again. We caught them with their hands in the cookie jar, is how we caught them. And we've had them on the defense all this time. But if we do something that shows that we're not strong in what we're doing, they're gonna blow right past us, because they can. And the fact that the councilman's statement was so poor at our board meeting, they changed it within an hour, of the board meeting, because it was a different statement that was supposed to come out. And the fact that the councilman sent his people to the meeting when we requested that he not send anyone to the meeting, and I requested a statement from him, nothing, crickets. So for a councilman who's so close to a recall vote in 3 out of 4 areas in his district, to want to blow this up, I think it's arrogant. I think it's deceiving to us. And to hold these meetings in secret, we have to have a real voice. I mean, if we're gonna do this, we have to do this right. Because if we end up with Halloween, people dressed up as empty chairs, okay, we're gonna look really foolish.
Rosie?
Okay, so I have like 3 points to bring up. One, the first one has to do with using phantom lithography to distribute the materials, because I have an issue with that, because in the past, people have not have received any printed materials like for certain events. I think like some of the people like at apartment complex say, well, there's a whole stack of them there, but then the rest of the community doesn't get it. So I think what you need to do is, if you have those printed up, I think we need to, outreach needs to form a group to have people that are gonna go out and distribute them door to door, so that to get the community behind us, okay? I think we also need to get, I think maybe media needs to get involved with this. I think we need to get the other surrounding neighborhood councils or community councils involved. I don't understand why Mar Vista was there and they were supporting Shirley Kuehl. You had somebody from Mar Vista there, some guy named Robin, who spoke, I think, on behalf
yeah.
of, so yeah. So why is he doing that? I think he needs to support our neighborhood council.
He was not there on behalf of Mar
To
Vista.
represent the Mar Vista, he was there.
But I think you need to get the other neighborhood councils behind us and supporting this. If you had people in Venice and you had people in Mar Vista who were opposing in their own districts, I think we need to get them to back us up too.
So for the record, it is on the record, it is on the agenda at Westside. They contacted me and they asked me to come and speak to them about it. So Westside is definitely on top of it. You know, as far as Mar Vista, who knows?
Mar Vista has their own problems to worry about.
Yeah.
So for the record, I just want to let you guys know that I sent an email to Mike about this with a great deal of specifics and asked for the kindness of a reply, and haven't heard from him either.
No, it's consistent.
Miss Philadelphia?
Yeah, I was just going to say, also, I think everyone I've spoken to in the neighborhood about this has been, expressed outrage at the way this has gone down. So I think that as long as, I think that if people hear about it, they will spread the word, you know, especially if we're asked to. And I do think that through social media and also just asking people to be ambassadors for us and spread the word can get a good turnout for the 12th. One thing I was thinking about is I don't know if we have a list of all the organizations in the community, because they usually have email lists of, you know, of their attendees, congregants, supporters, whatever, and to make up an electronic flyer that they can then email to, you know, like their constituencies and have that be part of the outreach.
I'll put you on the queue. I have him, then me. I'm going to say something, then you.
Just one, social media, I use it all the time, but you know, we see 100 things on our feed, oh yeah, that's interesting, you forget about it really quickly. I really think one of the things is the farmer's market. I think you take a prop like that behind you, put some bars on it, and say drunk tank coming soon. You know, all these families that go there on Sundays, you know, they're going to see it right there. It's going to be live. I mean, passing out flyers there, but having a prop too, because people see a piece of paper and they look at it and don't take it in.
Yeah, a picture of the.
But the farmer's market's right across the street, basically, from
Yeah.
where this is coming in. And if you say, hey, Saturday night when they arrest her, this is where they're coming Sunday, and this family's there, it's a small farmer's market, but still, do it in the Brentwood one too. I mean, I don't know.
So I think you're persuading me, Jay. I do think that we're going to have to do some special meeting to allocate funds. I think we need specific of what the funds are going to be like. And I think for people who are currently really pissed and on social media all the time, having a special meeting on the 12th that's just dealing with the planning of a larger town hall is probably a good idea.
Yeah.
That'll allow some people to show up. I don't think we should highly publicize that meeting, but it'll allow people to come up and talk about what their concerns are so that those can be addressed in a more formalized, rational manner at a town hall meeting so that we can see what's important to people. And then also sort of ramp up, you know, getting people to that meeting, either by canvassing or by all of canvassing, social media. You know, we still need to reach out to the businesses. Like the nickel mine's probably pissed that this is going to be happening. And so let them come and tell us why they're pissed and what they think is going to happen to their business. And the farmer's market might be upset, and let them come and tell us what's going to happen to their business.
And I think we should use the first meeting to encourage people who are there to inform their neighbors.
Well, and we should also use the time in between to be talking to the people who are pissed about the road diet and who are pissed about Playa del Rey, to show up, and they want us to show up in support for them, they should show up in support for us. And to make it an issue that, you know, it's not exactly the thing that's going in, it's the way it was done.
Right.
And that can't keep happening. And so to make it a sort of town hall on the secrecy issue, more than the thing itself. Because there are people who, on Nextdoor in these discussions, are talking about how they're not opposed to the project itself, right? We frankly don't know enough about the project itself to know whether they're opposed to it or not, because they haven't told us anything. So I would propose that we agree to come back on the 12th here, to have a special meeting, to come up with a budget, figure out an actual strategy. As the outreach chair, I will work with Eric in the coming days to figure out like what that sort of campaign looks like and other suggestions.
Second. Was that a motion?
Can't make a motion.
Not yet.
What about the developer also? Like, this is a thing for, you know, the developer across the street.
Right.
So, you're right. And so I've spoken to, just so you know, my advanced work. I've spoken to the Wiseman people, I've spoken to the CIM people, I spoke to Jeff Appel from the Safeway Project, and I've spoken to probably close to a dozen businesses in the affected area, and they're all fuming. The Village Studio, Jeff, he's berserk. He called me again like 12 times today. He's berserk over this, you know, and wants to do anything and everything we humanly can. So
I bet Saffron would help us.
maybe he's not gonna go against Bond and the county right now because that's his money. I don't see Saffron jumping into that fight. But I think these other guys could be persuaded to put up some mailing money, you know,
Right.
pay a mailing bill, to pay some
Right.
graphic artwork, to help get the word out through their bar, restaurant, shop, whatever, you know. But we have to come up with a plan and who's gonna do it,
Right.
and how we're gonna make it happen
Yeah, I
like
mean,
yesterday.
And so I'm proposing that we meet on the 12th to solidify those plans and figure out whether we want to have our big town hall, one big town hall, on a weekday night or a weekend day.
But is that meeting going to be, or that town hall would be more than 1 week from the 12th, or would, I mean, would it be?
It would give us enough lead time, I think. I mean, yeah.
I mean, because if you wanted to do one on the 19th, that's like 7 days later, like a week later.
Well, yeah, I
That's
think
already
that-
pretty tight in time,
I
in my
think if we
opinion,
do, I think we're gonna have to do a weekend probably to get the maximum amount of
Saturday
people.
afternoon.
Like a Saturday afternoon. We're gonna have to find a venue for it. So the earliest it would be, is gonna be 21st. Right?
Yeah, I would say, yeah, and I would say we could talk to Stoner Park.
Yeah.
Did we want to meet sooner than the 12th?
Well, that was
Yeah.
Jana's question.
I think we should meet like Tuesday.
Tuesday,
Okay,
that's
that's
like
fine.
You know, if we can meet Tuesday,
Yeah.
because really what we need to meet on is to vote on the marketing plan and the
Logistics.
money.
Yeah, exactly.
Because then the other stuff has to get done in order to get the money approved and do it. And that'll give us 3, 4, 5 days to also talk to some of the people with money who might want to support this effort.
Tuesday's the 10th.
So do we need the exact breakdown or ask for the amount of money?
Need a budget. Need a budget.
We don't have a budget.
We have to submit a budget, an itemized budget, or we reject the payment.
Okay, so I think you.
And I can
You
work
work
on
on
that
the
with you.
budget,
I
because
can
if
work
you-
on that with
If you
Eric.
budget $1,000 and we, on some item, no, I know, but whatever, some item is $1,000 in the line item in the budget and we spend 600, we don't have to spend the whole 1,000, we can
Yeah.
spend less.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So do you want me to forward you, like, are we gonna use phantom printing?
You know, I think we'll go out, we can talk to a couple of people and see who will do it and how they'll do it.
I have a pretty similar, we
Oh, yeah,
can do
phantom
it. I'm gonna find an invoice similar to,
Yeah.
Oh, so we know what the budgeting should look like.
Yeah, and this will be a more defined mailing, you know, I
So
mean,
you
we're
want
talking
like
about maybe
500?
1,000 foot radius. Or, you know, that way we'll capture everybody on Ohio, going
Yeah.
down into the neighborhood.
Yes, Daniela.
I'm a little concerned about presenting the problem or the situation. It could be like a twofold thing, like where some people might not be against it because they think it's helping people that have problems, as you said before. And then the other problem could be, so the other problem is how they're going about doing it, the
Right.
secrecy of it. But we have to be able to tell people, because I have talked to people about it, and they have expressed to me, well, they're helping people. Once I tell them, well, it's that they're doing it in secret and they don't want people to know what's going on there. So then they change their mind.
Right,
So I think what we need to do is present that in a way that could be, someone can write it in a way that is easy to explain in a few words. Where either you can get people excited about it or angry, because you have to use some, I'm
Well,
not saying embellishing the problem of the thing.
this is the issue to me. I'm going to invite the Claire Foundation. They can come and talk about how great it is. But if it was so great, it wouldn't have to be a secret.
Right.
If it was so good and so wonderful and going to cure all of society's ills, they wouldn't have done it as a secret.
Right.
If there was, people embracing this sort of thing with open arms, it wouldn't have been done in secret. So if they now want to tell us how great it is, they can come and have their time and tell us how great it is. And then explain why they couldn't tell us this great thing out in public.
Do they have others already?
So I want to pass this around for everyone to look at. This is the location downtown.
I saw that.
It looks like a jail.
Yeah, it is like a jail.
You can pass that down on people.
That's really my concern with the whole project, is that it's on such a prominent location
such a
on the
large
main
location,
strip that
right.
we have.
But
It's
the
gonna get
bricks are going to be
locked in
lovely.
like
That's
that
what she
once
showed
they
us
get
last time.
along.
She showed us a picture of the front. She said the brickwork is going to be so nice.
Yeah, I mean, if the county was to come in, tear that down, put some affordable housing, retail, I would support that.
Yeah, but
But
it's
like
not-
something like this.
Right, so the thing we have to remember is at the last meeting when the Clare people were there with the county tried to pass it off as Clare's wonderful, they have all these places all over the place, and Jay Ross asked the best question. Is it the same as the one on Lincoln? And what we heard was, well, no. Because the Lincoln location is a place where they take care of people. This is not a place where they take care of people. This is a place where they dry you out, wring you out, and let you out back on the street. And when they talk about we're going to put them, we have transportation money, we're going to transport them. You can't transport them against their will.
Yeah. You
So
also
if they
can't
go
hold
no,
Yeah.
they're going to 7-Eleven, they're going to Brockton Liquor, they're going to the Civic Center, and they're going to go pass out again and get their sleep the next night. Come on back.
Yeah, but it's all going to be fine because they won't put signage on the front.
Right, nobody will know when they walk by it.
Which is ridiculous, because in a neighborhood like this, no signage is a sign of something being wrong.
Yeah.
People are like, why
Pretty
is
much.
there a nondescript building with no sign there? What's
Well, and
going
also
on?
what's going to happen to the apartments that are directly behind it? So you've got first responders pulling up behind there 24 hours a day. People coming in and out of those back
You're
doors.
wrong, Jamie, they're coming on bikes.
I know. That's why they
They're
have
coming
all
on-
those
They're
bike
putting them in their
spots.
back and
Yeah.
they're coming on bikes.
Exactly.
And they're parking in the
Does anybody
bikes.
know what they're building where that coffee shop used to be, which is right next door to it? What are they building?
It's mixed use.
Wiseman.
Yeah.
That's why.
Oh, that's
like
what you
50
told me.
years
Yeah,
ago.
the-
Because
Oh,
he-
he's fuming.
yeah, he doesn't own those other buildings next door, right?
He's fuming.
But for them to thrive as sorry, go
I
ahead.
have a question about the meeting on Tuesday, which, we will put that on social media and see the most motivated people will probably show up, and as part of the discussion on Tuesday will be what date we'll have the town hall, because I feel like if we have those people there, we should leave that meeting knowing when the town hall
I think
will
so.
be.
And I mean,
So that
I
we
think
know.
that, so if we do it on a Saturday, the next Saturday that would give us as much time as possible after the meeting on Tuesday would be the 21st. We don't want to do it the weekend after that because that's Halloween weekend.
Yes.
And if we wait another weekend, now we're already in November. And we're past our next board meeting, and so then it seems sort of silly to be having
Right.
a special. So I would propose that we sort of do it on the 21st. So I'd encourage everybody to look at their calendars today and see if that's available date.
I
Yes.
think, to make a statement, I think it would be good to hold the town hall here because this is so close in proximity. It's a public school, you've got elementary school children being here, and it's like within 3 blocks of the location.
Set up chairs right in front of the building.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think this is a good space as long as we can pack it so that people are standing. I mean, I think that that's a good point, right? It's a little bit smaller than Felicia Mahood, actually, so the room itself.
But they got lots of chairs, yeah.
Yeah,
Seating.
right.
That idea for that kind of event in the front of that place is actually a really
Something
good
to
idea.
consider. Have the town hall
And
right in
to
front of that
invite
building.
the media and to
I like
have
the
a
jail
prop
would be the
in the
best.
front of.
Well, yeah, but where would all the
We can get media
how would
there.
you talk?
You can get media there. and have
Get a podium
right
with a
across the
microphone
street.
like they do when the electeds
And
come
there
out.
is nothing they can do about it.
Where's Mike Bond?
It happened
If we
like
borrow
in the
his
front
podium
of
and
federal
light.
building.
Yeah,
like numerous
I could ask
times.
Glenn to come and bring that folding thing out, the
Yeah.
sunshade. Elaine, could we use that for
I mean,
Parks
you
and Rec?
stopped the traffic on Wilshire Boulevard, didn't you? So.
Well, and that's a perfect example. When the
Yeah.
bus lane was coming in on Wilshire Boulevard, how did we draw attention to it and get the press? At that time, I was chair of the chamber.
We stood on
I took a beach chair and I went and I sat in the lane and waited for the bus to come and stop right in front of me. And it made every newspaper in the city and the front page of the Brentwood News. So, you do things to get the attention.
That's true. Well,
And that's
that
what we
is
need
something
on
to
this.
consider.
We need to get the attention. So it might be something to talk about at the meeting
Or, I mean,
where we
yeah,
do it.
yeah,
In
let's
addition,
talk about that.
in addition to
Yeah.
the, yeah.
Can we ask
Yeah,
Jennifer?
hold on.
Jennifer,
Eric's
what's
about
that?
to- go ahead. No, go ahead, Robert. He's
No,
seated his position.
I want to hear from Jennifer and see, what is the reaction at St. Sebastian? How do they feel about this?
So I think a lot of the parents actually don't know about it, and I'm sure if they did, they would be really upset. We do have, I mean, our
Come
students,
to the meeting, to the town hall?
I'm sure they would be interested, and I'm sure even if you guys need a venue, we're pretty close to the area, and
We could start out at
very
the
willing.
location and walk to
Yeah.
San Sebastian.
Usually the 10th.
And we're very willing to house anything and have you guys over. For us, I think if you were to tell parents about it, they would be outraged too. I mean, nobody wants that going on near a school
Right.
where kids are. As a teacher, it kind of worries me because anyone could just be walking by, and I'm constantly with my students, and even if I have a vigilant eye, things can happen, someone can go crazy, you just don't know. So I do think that that's something that if the community knew about it a little bit more, they would also be really upset about it. And I think even the church community would probably be really mad because they're definitely local. Our school community is kind of from all over, but our local church community is from there, so.
But, parents are very motivated about things
Yeah.
like
I was
this. If they,
wondering,
because
like
when
the
you
folks that
leave
come
your
to
kid for the day.
meetings at Mar Vista,
Yeah.
and they're holding those orange Recall Bonin signs. Is that, do they want people is that a good thing or is that a bad thing to come to our meeting for this?
I think you invite everybody, because
Yeah.
everybody has a motive, and the more people you have. You remember, if the main crux of our issue to the public is the lies, the secrecy, the backdoor dealing. So did any of you read City Watch?
Yes.
So I wrote an article about this.
I have copies.
It got 425,000 reads, that article. Publisher called me. Okay, people, as soon as you talk about lies, secrecy, deceit by government, everybody wants to take a look at it.
Yeah.
So, if that's going to be the focus of what we're doing, that's the message we have to put out there. We'll get people to come because they're angry. So the answer is yes. I would get the Del Rey people who are angry. I would get the Venice Boulevard, Mar Vista people who are angry. And I got to tell you, I mean, I've had probably a couple of hundred phone calls since the last meeting. Palisades people aren't thrilled.
Yeah.
Not particularly on this item, but with our council member.
Yeah.
Okay, Palisades people are angry, Brentwood people are angry, and you know what? It only takes 26,000 signatures to get a recall on the ballot. And frankly, if there's 26,000 signatures, he's not going to have a good time.
Yeah.
Because that's 4 times or 3 times the number of people who actually voted for him in the last election. So,
Can we take what you wrote and send it to Steve Lopez of the LA
I
Times?
sent it to Lopez, county, the video of our meeting, I sent to the LA Times county reporter, I sent it to Dakota Smith, who is the city reporter. I sent it out to everybody, you know, and nobody's jumping on our story right now because right now it's a bunch of ragtag neighborhood council people who are a bunch of NIMBYs, according to the president pro tem.
Yeah.
You know, we're just a bunch of NIMBYs who don't want anything. You know, we stifle and strangle the city council on every progressive thing they want to do.
But part of the messaging could be also that we voted pretty much
Almost unanimously for the Saffron project.
for like the Saffron
Right.
project.
Oh, I
for-
agree.
To support,
And that was a project with
Yeah.
great outreach.
Yes.
They were smart.
but I think we should, that's part of our messaging. It's kind of like, no, you know, it's beyond, it's a thoughtful argument.
Yeah, sure.
So if we plan an event in front of the location, can we have a support of our lead officer and can we make sure that we do everything right so they don't, you know?
So LAPD, our lead officer, as most people know, is the one who tipped me off to what was going on. A deputy chief was contacted by the county supervisor's people, and the deputy chief has told the local division, be quiet.
But we have the right to organize something in front of it, but they can help us with information how to do it, right?
Well, we
Oh, no, we just go down to the police commission and get a permit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Get an assembly permit.
Okay,
That's no
I'm
problem.
not sure how it works.
So
Yeah.
before we do that, are we scheduling the next planning meeting for the 10th?
Yeah, I think
Is
so.
that, do we have a motion? Can we
No, you
just set that?
can't really make a
Or
motion.
not a motion, but are we gonna?
Consensus.
There's
So
a
this is like a
consensus, and then
special- special meeting.
a special meeting, and then the agenda will have to get
Do you
posted
have
on Monday.
time for approval and everything? Is it like 3 days or 3 business days
For what?
for the meeting?
Special meeting is 24.
24 hours. We can set up a special meeting 24 hours in advance.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
We kind of know the length, it's not going to be a super long one
No.
probably, right?
It'll
Yeah.
just be the one item.
Yeah.
It's one item, we'll fight about the print.
Yes.
We have the other issue.
Oh, the printing, like, I don't know if you guys remember that Greg used different
already on our
printing
October
place
agenda.
once.
Our actual
Not the
meeting.
Phantom, but a different one
Do you want me
in
to
the
bring it?
neighborhood. And
Oh,
it
yes,
didn't go well.
anyone should be.
No, it was
Yeah.
expensive and it didn't come out well.
Yeah,
It
it
was
didn't
more
go well.
expensive and it didn't.
Yeah.
So do you
I
remember
wanted to
which
give
one
everyone
is it? But
It was the guy down in the middle of the block.
Yeah,
Who
okay.
now has moved to another location.
Hey,
Okay.
Rosie has one more item before we break for the night.
So when Bonnie's newsletter that went out on Monday, he indicated that due to a LODOT speed survey, the speed limit on Olympic Boulevard from Century Park East to Centinela, also on Sawtelle Boulevard from Pico to Palms, is going to be increased from 35 miles per hour to 40 miles per hour.
Right. And I would suggest that the Plum Committee look into why speed surveys are done and what the formula is. We had LAPD come to a citywide meeting about a year ago and talk about that. And if you don't have a speed survey on the street, they can't ticket for speeding, they can't radar, they can't do any real progressive measures to stop the speeding. And what they do is they measure the speed on the street and they calibrate it back to a speed limit that they determine. And that's why all around the city, they're increasing speed limits by, between 5 and 10 miles an hour on major streets. At the same time, they're talking about, Vision Zero, which is people getting run over because of speeding cars. So that's kind of why we all look at Vision Zero more as zero vision.
Well, I had an issue with regards to, anybody who lived in this area, who drove along Olympic and also along Sawtelle, knew that there were speed traps and they were issuing citations. So why did that stop, or has it
Because
stopped?
because the speed survey ran out, they expired. And they're about 2 years behind doing speed surveys. So because the speed surveys expired, they can't go out and do speed traps and radar traps and things like that because the ticket won't hold up in court because it's no longer allowed on that street.
But according to Bonnie's newsletter, he's saying that if the 85% of the vehicles are already going at that speed, that's what's triggering this increase in the
That's
speed.
correct. That's exactly what I just said. They look and see the current speed
So
of the
this
car.
is based on a state law, correct?
That's correct.
So the way to cure it is to change the state law.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with the city law. We'd have to go to the state people.
So when we talk about it,
All the way to graduate, Olympic was 45.
okay, well, we can put on the agenda and perhaps have a motion
And they
about the
removed the
state law.
signs.
So,
And now I don't know
and
what's
we can do either the special meeting or the next regular.
Yeah, I mean, I
Thank you,
don't know what we
President.
would do about
You
it.
know, between four
We can
and seven
encourage
is
the
five.
councilman and council to.
One inch an hour, it's like Sawtelle.
I mean, let's put on the special meeting agenda, and if we want to address it there, we can. If not, we'll go back, depending how long the first item takes,
All right.
and how long people feel like staying that
Move
night.
to adjourn.
Second.
Wait, I have some board member announcements.
Okay.
We want to do a bylaw committee meeting. Everyone, of course, would be invited. We're welcome for any suggestions. Whatever we come up with, we'll come to the board. We were going to have it on the 19th, but if that's a possible date for a town hall.
I thought we were
I think
going
the
to.
21st.
21st.
It's the 21st. Okay, good. Okay. Then I wanted to see what you guys thought about having a section on the agenda right at the top for ex parte communications and disclosures by the board. So at the beginning of the meeting, we know everyone who's talked to everyone as a representative of the neighborhood council. I know we're all eager to make our opinion be known. And I also think, we need to clarify who is speaking on behalf of the council. Is it just the chair? And if it's not the chair, does the chair formally delegate it to someone? And, if we all have to be clear that if we, I've been hearing people have been making calls the last month, which is great. But are they speaking on behalf of the council? Or are they speaking as individuals? Are they being clear that they're speaking as individuals? They're speaking on behalf of the council, were they authorized by someone? So,
And I think you have to be very careful.
Yeah.
Because as representatives of your community, your job is to go speak to your stakeholders.
yeah.
So you can't say, oh, only you can go speak to 29,000 people. Every board member has the right on items that we have voted on or we're discussing or are coming up to go out and speak to their stakeholders to let them know what's happening, and give their personal opinion unless it's something the board actually voted on. So I completely disagree with stifling the voice of.
No, I agree with that.
board
Yeah,
members.
you're supposed to speak to stakeholders, but when you're representing yourself to city agencies or something like that.
That's a different story.
Yeah, that's, I'd
Yeah,
like to have a
again-
discussion I'd like to have a discussion on the agenda to clarify that for everyone, and then secondly, I would also like to see on the agenda every month ex parte communication, so we know who has spoken, if anyone, on behalf of the neighborhood council and to whom and what they have said. And I presume, it should be mainly, unless you're authorized, it should just be about process, unless you're authorized to give an opinion. But, we can flush that out in a future discussion, but I would like to discuss both of those, Mr. Chair. if they can-
I don't see that. I see that as something that should go to the bylaws and standing
Okay.
rules committee.
Well, we will have a bylaws meeting before the next.
Okay, well.
Let them come up
Yep.
with wording and bring it back to the board.
Yep, okay. Very good.
Yes.
So we're going to have an information table at the farmer's market this coming Sunday from 9 to 12. This is part of the Clean Streets LA program. If you want to somebody wants to come out, you want to design something, a poster, whatever, about the sobering center, that's fine. So
Okay.
let me know, just let me know.
The farmer's market, this is pretty good.
Is that what you wrote? That's one.
The article?
Yeah.
How many do you think we need?
No, we can print them out of your office.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. There's still a step.
I mean, I always used to have a booth at the farmer's market. I used to man it like 5-6 years ago.
Are you volunteering?
Yes, not
It
yet.
sounds like a volunteer.
But no, Rosie said she was gonna be there already, so.
But Rosie needs volunteers.
Well, I'm going to have,
There are 15 board members, so once every 15 weeks, everyone has to do it. And then Kareem will be the 16th.
Are you planning to see the farmers?
Okay, are there any other board announcements, board items?
Suckers, right?
Let's go home. That's the end of the-
Ron?
Move to adjourn.
I'm
Motion.
with you.
All right, let's go.
It's gonna be better than this.
So you spoke to Teresa McDougal when she was
lots of
principal.
conversations.
She's awesome. I miss her so much. I appreciate that so much, yeah. One of our friends
So it ended up.
down,
that-
It will be Tuesday on the 10th,
yeah.
but I'll let you know.
Filed a claim against the city, and they denied it.
Oh, I see,
And
okay.
he filed a small claim suit against him, testified against the city.
Yes.
He won, he got his money.